Mm. What's going on, everyone? Hope you guys are having a good day. So I wanted to switch it up and do something that's very near and dear to my heart. So before you get all up in arms and say, oh, gluten-free is bullshit, and allergy, this and that, if you're not someone that has severe food allergies, I urge you just to open your mind for a second. Because as someone who's been with a partner, and my wife has celiac disease, so she's gluten-free, she's also allergic to eggs and dairy. Someone who has severe food allergies, when you live with them, you start to realize that it actually is a big thing. I mean, imagine getting that diagnosis and realizing that all your favorite foods are like things like bread you can never eat again, otherwise you're gonna be crapping your brains out and feeling horrible. Just imagine for a second that's you. And if it is you, I wanna tell you this video is designed specifically to help you feel empowered and feel good about your food choices. So when my wife and I first met and I discovered that she had all these food allergies, I was a little bit nervous because I can eat anything and I was worried we're gonna be missing out on all these opportunities. But what happened was it led to this amazing experience where I was actually taking my favorite foods, figuring out creative ways to use different vegetables and starches and things to make them for her. And she's also a chef, so we kind of teamed up together and started making such delicious meals. And before we knew it, we weren't missing those same foods. Now I still eat everything, but I thought today I would dedicate a video to show you guys all the knowledge I've learned over the last 6 years to making amazing freaking food with food allergies. So let's dive into this video. I'm going to show you guys some essential pantry things that I like to have, some kind of substitutes and swaps, and also just some amazing food that's going to make you forget about your food allergy diagnosis and rock it hardcore. Just a quick note to support this video, my wife and I wrote a book called Tasty Freedom. It's all about traveling the world and eating like a total badass no matter what kind of food allergies or food aversions you have. We spent a month in Vietnam cooking in hotel rooms, on beaches, going to local markets using translation cards, and we just want to show people and empower people to actually feel like they can travel the world. Because a lot of people out there, they're too afraid, they might, cross-contamination, you might get sick or eat the wrong thing. This book, let it be your Bible. It's also our journey and there's lots of tips in here. Click below to purchase it on Amazon. I think you'll appreciate it. So in this video, I'm gonna kind of take you guys first through a couple pantry essentials I like to have around to make amazing food. Then I'm gonna cook a ton of recipes. There's gonna be some things like tacos and pizza and noodle dishes and pasta dishes and stuff, and show you different cool substitutes. Because I know a lot of people are like, I can't eat pasta anymore, I'm screwed. Being someone who loves going to Asian markets, there's amazing noodles that are made out of rice and beans and different things that I think in some cases are even better. I'm not just saying that, it's actually the damn truth. So first I'm gonna go through some of these pantry essentials, and I find that while most of the time, most of what we're eating are vegetables and fruits and stuff and starches, it's fun to have little things like certain pastas, for example. So this is a pasta made from basically just chickpeas. This is one of my favorite brands, Banza. It's just chickpea. They have lots of different like shapes and stuff, and you cook it just like pasta, follow the instructions. There's also brown rice pasta. These are great. And sometimes it is nice to have those things because you feel that nice experience, but don't go into it thinking it's gotta be exactly like, the pasta you remember. Realize that this is delicious, it's its own thing, treat it like its own thing, and you'll have fun with it. Another thing I love to do is pad thai noodles are great for rice dishes. There's so many Asian cuisines that, of course, soy sauce for a lot of people has wheat in it, so that's something you gotta be careful of, but a lot of dishes are made with these rice noodles, and there's like 8 bajillion kinds of rice noodles, so whatever flat, wide, thin, round, whatever you need, you are freaking set. Garbanzo bean flour, so this is basically just chickpeas blended up into a flour, and if you don't have the flour, you can literally just take chickpeas and blend it into flour. And this, we love making flatbreads. You can make just amazing different types of breads and like wraps and stuff with, so I will be cooking with that today. Similar to masa, which is just cornmeal used for tortillas, gorditas, different things like that. You can make a lot of fun stuff, empanadas, depending on what you're going for. If you like corn, some people are allergic to corn, but if you like corn, rock that ish. This is actually umami powder. It's made from mushroom for someone that doesn't want to have MSG, or someone that just like wants that extra flavor of umami and doesn't want to have soy, maybe you're allergic to soy. Umami powder is great. Same deal if you don't eat fish sauce. This, if you've ever had nutritional yeast before, I actually don't eat it too often. My wife freaking loves it. It's like this cheesy, it adds just like a cheesiness to it. It's almost like vegan Parmesan, if you will. So if you're just kind of missing that, craving that, they call it like hippie fairy dust. You can check that out. Of course, I have things like fresh herbs, some onions, you know, stuff that are just delicious and naturally allergy-free. Beans, especially if you're someone who's vegan or vegetarian, beans are great for protein. Now this is actually gluten-free soy sauce. So tamari is one of the few gluten-free soy sauces, but not all tamari is gluten-free. So make sure it says gluten-free, of course. I love using this, but if you are allergic to soy, like I said, you can use other things like this mushroom powder. Sriracha is another thing that's great. This is actually kind of a cool brand someone gave me recently, just like a delicious fixed sriracha. And just for hot sauce, people that have food allergies, I feel like often having sauce adds that extra like umami and extra deliciousness. So get a good hot sauce you like and your flavors will be elevated up to here. Coconut milk, if you're allergic to dairy. Of course there's almond milk and soy milk, but again, some people don't want to have soy. Coconut milk, this is coconut cream actually. I like getting cream because you can add water to it and it sort of thins it out, so you get more out of this. You can make coconut milk by just adding water. Yuca is also amazing. You can boil it and crisp it up in the oven and make delicious fries. There is cashews, which, you know, some nuts, depending on what kind of nut allergy you have. Like I'm avoiding peanuts in this video because I feel like that's one of the biggest ones, but you know, cashews are a great way. I actually have them soaked and you can blend them up and make great sauces and like sour cream. This is a vegan mayo. I don't usually buy this stuff very often, but I do like Kensington's in general. I like their brand. So I was just trying it out, and it's an eggless vegan mayo, and it tastes pretty dang good. There's also vegan butters. So I think there's a balance. Like I will say, for example, if you're gonna get one cheese, Daya makes a really good mozzarella and cheddar cheese that we use. It's basically made from tapioca, and there's a couple other things in there, but you can make your own cheeses. We do a lot. But sometimes it is fun to grab those things, and I'm noticing more and more. Like when I first met my wife, there were very few gluten-free items available. Now every market has like a gluten-free section, allergy-free section. They have all kinds of crazy different things. My only suggestion to you is buy some stuff that you like, but be careful. Don't overbuy too much processed stuff, because sometimes people think, oh, well, I'm gluten-free, so I can just eat all these cakes, but you end up eating a lot of weird stuff. So check the ingredients, make sure it's not like too weird, too crazy. I prefer things like, you know, garbanzo bean. Instead of buying bread in the store, which will have a lot of ingredients if it's gluten-free, just take garbanzo bean with water and you can make this amazing bread or flat dough. It's freaking delicious. But enough talking, let's get into that cooking. So why don't we start with maybe everyone's favorite food that people miss out on when they get diagnosed with, say, celiac disease or they're allergic to dairy. Pizza. So pizza, there's so many different variations these days. Like people make these crazy crusts and they add different fillers and xanthan gums and all kinds of stuff. But I found one of the easiest, simplest ways is to actually just take some chickpea flour and you can make this amazing flatbread pizza. All you do is you take your chickpea flour, you mix it in a bowl with some water, add some salt, and then just mix that in together to make a smooth batter. The thicker it is, it will affect the consistency, but I kind of like a little thinner than pancake batter, and you can of course make it thick or thin. Then you take a pan, non-stick pan, hit it with some oil, and just pour that into the pan, and it's gonna just get nice and crispy on the bottom as it cooks. I cook it over like medium-high heat. While that's going on, once it's starting to cook through nicely and it's almost at the point of being done on the top, add some fresh tomato sauce. You can use pizza sauce. I made some with just some tomatoes, little garlic, onion, cooked it down, added some basil, boom shaka loom. And I'm actually just gonna let it crisp on the bottom, hit it with some of this cheese. And you don't have, again, you can make your own cheese. There's like really cool nut cheese recipes out there, cashew cheese, but sometimes when you just want like a little pizza night, you know, have some good times going on. One of the biggest things that I learned about cooking with food allergies, and this like is a game changer, is if you're just trying to make something that you used to be able to eat, like you're like, oh, I just really love pizza, so I want to make this exact pizza that I love from whatever this place was, you're probably gonna fall short. And the reason is you're gonna be in a comparison state. It's never gonna be the way you remembered it. So what I've learned about being gluten-free or having food allergies is just make something that tastes delicious. If you're inspired by pizza, that's great. What do you love about pizza? Is it the gooiness of the cheese? Is it the sweetness? Is it like chewiness of the bread? Whatever it is, make something amazing that uses the inspiration, but don't just try to make the exact thing or you just won't be happy. It's a little bonus. I like to take my little blowtorch here though. This kind of gives you that super hot oven experience. You can get your oven on hot, make it in the pan, toss it in the oven, but I kind of like this. And you end up with this delicious, crispy on the bottom, fluffy on the outside. Pretty good. We make this like once a week. if not every other day. Let's switch it up just a little bit. We're gonna make a sort of mac and cheese type thing. Of course, people like cheese, but a lot of people cannot have cheese. I don't really even eat much dairy these days, but I find amazing substitutes. So I love to make this sort of like cheese. It's like a nacho cheesiness, but what's cool is, of course, it's not actually cheese, but it creates that similar effect. So let's make this mac and cheese. And the first thing that I do is I make this nice sweet potato cheese sauce. So take a sweet potato, roast it in the oven. I actually had kind of like a white sweet potato, but of course, whatever kind you have, just affect the color and the flavor a little bit, but still freaking delicious. Then you take your blender. I actually have some cashews that I soaked overnight. So add them plus the water right in there. Add the sweet potato. Then I add some roasted garlic. You could do fresh garlic too. Some red bell pepper, 1 chili, little lemon juice, salt, and olive oil. Then you just blend this all up, and you basically end up with this delicious, like sort of nacho cheese-esque sauce. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking my chickpea noodles, and you can use brown rice noodles, whatever you want. I took the chickpeas because I like them probably the best at this point. Then in a little baking dish, I added just some broccoli in there, and I added my noodles, a little salt, little oil. I had a little bell pepper, whatever you want, just throw it in there. You can add meat, you can add veggies, all good. Kind of mix that up. Then I pour over that sauce, that nacho cheese sauce, mix that together, toss it in the oven at 350. About halfway through, if you want, you could sprinkle on some Daya cheese. You don't have to. Just kind of adds a nice thing to the top. Wow, what's amazing for someone who eats more protein or beans in their diet, but loves pasta, the chickpea pasta is incredible. And like I said, just worry about making something taste good. Use the inspiration from things that you love cooking and have fun. Don't feel restricted. The worst thing you can do is feel like you're this burden on people. I know they gotta eat what I eat or whatever. Like, there's ways to plan ahead. A lot of it you'll see in the book, Tasty Freedom, so click the link below. It's all about like how to really form a connection with people and not feel like this burden, but also travel and be able to do the things that you want. At the end of the day, it's about making good food. And good food doesn't have any kind of allergy label restriction. It's just good. So figure out what are the things that you can eat and have fun. All right, let's go on over to Mexico and make something. So there's a lot of foods, different cuisines that are just naturally allergy free. Mexico is a great example. Yes, they use lots of cheese, but tortillas are gluten free, meat's gluten free, salsa, gluten free, vegan. So like you have different options. I like to cook a lot of vegan Mexican food. I actually have a whole video on all kinds of stuff. Now normally I'd be making tacos, but I wanted to switch it up and make sort of a gordita. So what I did was I took some masa. Usually I used to make tortillas, but I basically take the masa, add some water to it, and kind of rehydrate it with some salt, mix that together, cover it, let it sit till you're ready to use it. Then we have this beautiful masa. Take a little ball in your hand, right? And you can stuff these, which is pretty cool. A lot of times you'll see them, they'll flatten them out, they'll stuff them with a bunch of stuff, and then they'll fry them up. But I'm gonna do something a little bit different, make it a bit more of like, almost like a cake. I'm just gonna fry them in a pan with some oil. And what's cool is they'll get crispy on the outside. You could toss them in the oven if you wanna kind of bake them through, and they end up sort of like an arepa. If you ever had them before, like these corn cakes. See how crispy they get? So with tortillas, you actually would not add oil, you just do them dry on a pan, usually like a cast iron, but with these, you can get them nice and crispy, and they're freaking good. So they're meaty, and they're crispy, and they're delicious, and magnificent. Then I just made some steak, you know, pat it dry, salt, pepper, had a little skirt steak, sear it up on both sides in a little pan, make sure it's delicious, take it off, let it rest, you know how to make steak, do your thing. Cut it up thin. If you don't want to have steak, of course you could use tofu or veggies or whatever. So while those are cooking, I'm gonna take that tomato sauce I made earlier, which is literally just, I cooked down some onions, garlic, added some canned tomatoes, and then cooked that down with some water, and then added some basil at the end. I'm taking that tomato sauce, I'm gonna turn it into a salsa. It's basically the same thing. So I'm gonna add these super hot chilies. I don't usually eat, jalapenos, serranos, but I just add these like sort of Thai chilies. Add some cilantro, lime juice. I just appreciate when foods can kind of cross over, because you make one thing and then you can say have a couple variations by adding a couple other things. Save the tomato sauce for pizza, use this for tacos. Boom. It's that simple, folks. Once my little gordita cakes are fried, add some steak to the top, a little cabbage, some avocado, top it with the salsa, and then you end up with this delicious gordita. To go along with that, if you want on the side, yuca is freaking amazing. If you've ever had it before, you would know, but if you haven't, do not be intimidated. It looks like this crazy long thing like you could beat the crap out of somebody with. Don't do that. What you should do instead is just peel it. Just kind of peel the outside layer off. Then I cut it up into like these sort of chunky fry shapes and just boil it in water until it starts to get tender and kind of just where it's starting to flake. Then you add some salt and some oil and just roast it in the oven, and you end up with these super crispy. It's like way crispier than most French fries. Like it would take a lot of work to make a French fry this crispy. I do this instead. And then you got your salsa option, or you got your cheese option. I'm gonna do both. Oh yeah. Okay, now we're gonna do something that you've probably never seen on this channel before. I usually never make it. It's one of those things that's delicious, I just never think to make, and it happens to be gluten-free. Most people do not realize this, but risotto is gluten-free. Now it's made with arborio rice, and it's just a certain type of rice that's used in a lot of Italian cooking. And so what I did was I took a pan, chopped up some mushrooms, some onion, and just kind of seared them, sort of sweated them, sauteed them, whatever you feel like doing down for a little bit. Then you take some arborio rice and you just kind of mix that around and like toast it in the pan for a bit. Then, optional, I added some red wine. Anytime you add wine to something and you're not looking at a recipe, people are just like, God, this guy must really know what he's doing. Let that cook. And typically with risotto, they'd be adding stock at this point, but I'm just gonna do water. You don't need to add stock, just flavor it more. Start adding some water, let it cook down. As the water absorbs, add a little bit more. You can do like say half a cup or a cup at a time. It's gonna soak up a lot of water. Arborio rice loves to frickin' drink lots of water. You can add salt at this point, you can add some pepper, and just keep adding water until the rice cooks. You'll know, you give it a taste, it's nice and tender. I added some umami powder just for fun. Then take it out, put it on a bowl, a little olive oil. I used some roasted Brussels sprouts on top. I accidentally hit it with some cilantro, and then of course basil, which is what I meant to go for, but they're probably delicious together. And then you got this beautiful risotto that you get to enjoy yourself. Risotto is one of those things I find you go to an Italian restaurant, it's like the only vegetarian option. You guys ever know about that? It's like, well, we've got the mushroom risotto. And even, as much as that was always sad to me, it's actually a very delicious dish. It's hearty. It's like this. It's almost like making a rice stew in a sense. It's got that heartiness to it that I appreciate. Summer rolls or spring rolls, whatever you want to call them, rice paper rolls are amazing. And what I love about this is instead of looking to buy like some sort of fake, weird modified version of a tortilla, these are so great because they're just used in so many cultures, like Vietnamese culture, Thai culture. People just love summer rolls. So if you can use them instead, you kind of get these like really light burritos, you're gonna be in heaven. The key to making these is have all your ingredients prepped out. I've got some carrots, cucumber, cilantro. I'm using my steak in there, my vermicelli noodles. But what you wanna do is instead of dipping them in a bowl, a lot of people do this, they dip them in a bowl, let them sit for a little bit, and then they get super soggy. What I say is just like lightly brush them with some water on both sides, let them just sit, and you can either do double or you can do a single, and then start adding your fillings. The vermicelli, you can add some veggies on there, the steak, you can add your fresh herbs, and then you just kind of roll the top over, tuck in the sides, and then roll it until you have this nice sort of burrito looking thing. And if you want, you can double wrap it just to make sure. But they're super simple, they're really delicious. And I made like a little sauce with some soy, some sesame oil, some sriracha, scallions, sesame seeds, apple cider vinegar, delicious dipping sauce. Super simple, you can wrap anything, especially if you're someone who doesn't like salads and loves burritos and you're looking for some kind of healthy mash, this is the perfect thing to do. On to the last things, a classic, but a classic done a little bit different. So spaghetti and meatballs, most people know. I had some frozen meatballs that I had made and just kind of put them in my freezer. So I kind of defrosted them in the pan a little bit, popped them in the oven, whatever I had to do to get them warm. But then I took those bean thread noodles. They come dried, so you just pour them in some boiling water, and even for just a few minutes, you taste them, frickin' boom, they're cooked. I took my tomato sauce, and I put that in a pan, added some coconut milk to it, because I wanted to get that sort of rosé, like that creamy pink sauce, which I used to love. So just by adding some cream instead of whole cream, if you're allergic to it, coconut cream is freaking amazing. I actually like it better, I like the taste better, and I like what you can do with it a lot more. Then add your noodles in and just kind of mix it together. Added in some Brussels sprouts roasted because I had a couple more of those. And then if you want, you can do a little bit of that nutritional yeast instead of like Parmesan, you know? Put it in your bowl, pop some meatballs on, and then also some fresh basil, and you have this beautiful spaghetti and meatballs. I do not eat spaghetti and meatballs anymore, but I forgot. It's such a classic comfort food. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, click the link below if you want to get our book. If you're someone who struggles with food allergies, or you're someone that you know a friend is like really in need and they wish they could travel the world and they couldn't, we wrote this book specifically for you. Like the video, share it, subscribe. If this is inspiring, it could inspire someone else in your life. So let's get it out there in the world. I'll see you guys soon.